we are blessed with more woodlands than any other part of England. What we've got is very traditional woodland management in the southeast, and the vast majority of our woods have been woodlands since at least the 1600s, and they retain the native plants and animals. We've managed them traditionally through the centuries, so typically by coppice. So here we've got traditional chestnut coppice, which hasn't been cut for many years, and we've got very recently cut chestnut coppice. When you cut that tree down, about 50% of the weight is water, and water doesn't burn. So if one tries to burn unseasoned wood, it'll smoulder, it'll fizzle, and basically you're using energy to evaporate that water. So if you season the wood well, you increase its energy value. The tips we would suggest, the questions we would suggest you ask of a supplier are: how much wood are you getting in terms of solid cubic meters, because you will be supplied by a load of loose logs in most cases. How does that loose volume of logs equate to a solid cubic meter? Then the second question is, how dry is that wood? So what is the moisture content of that wood? If we're in the continent, if you bought logs, suppliers very often have a moisture meter, and they will ask you to pick your log and test that wood.
Drying process we mainly use, which has been proven on the continent, it's all to do with time, but we cut the wood into 1 metre or 1.2 metre lengths, and we pass them over our large splitter and then we stack them up on pallets off the ground and just leave them there for a couple of winters. And then we just go with a saw bench and cut them to whatever length we need to. And if we need to split them down again, we will do. Sometimes we also use crates, which we can move around the yard with a forklift, and also the crates we can put in the shed. You stack them 4 high and keep it ready for the customers throughout the winter. And that's proper wood that's is actually stored for a long time in a barn. Barn stored means keeping it under cover all the winter.
Well seasoned wood, seasoned for at least a season, is at least what one should buy, unless one can season it oneself. So that means it's been stored in a good dry place for at least a summer, and so the moisture content has dropped from 50% to about 30%. Traditionally, wood would have been burnt on an open fire. And really, if you think of an open fire, most of the heat from the wood that's burnt is converted into hot air, and where does that hot air go? It goes up the chimney. Modern systems, we're talking of modern log burning stoves, modern cookers that use wood, they are incredibly efficient users of wood. They've had an awful lot of design. So in simplistic terms, they double burn the wood. They have a primary burn, and then the secondary burn takes those flue gases which would go up the chimney and burns them again. So the emissions from a modern wood burning stove or a cooker or a batch boiler are incredibly low if you use the appropriate fuel, which is a well-seasoned fuel. Your efficiency, an open fire would be in the region of 30% efficient in converting the energy in the wood into heat that's of use to you. A modern wood burner will be in the region of 80% or more if it's well used. So it means that rather than a basket of wood for the evening, you can get away with a bucket of wood for the evening.